OPEC projects global economic growth to remain robust at 3.1%. Senate commences interactive session on the 2023 to 2025 medium-term expenditure framework and fiscal strategy paper. Stock futures across the world slip on Wednesday while investors wait for more U.S. inflation data. Plus, oil prices stabilize on IEA demand outlook. This is Business Express coming to you on the network service of the Nigerian Television Authority, the NTA. I am Liakating Baba today, your guide. We begin with news that economic growth in Nigeria and across the world is set to remain robust at 3.1% this year and another 3.1% next year. The Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, OPEC, which projected in its September monthly oil market report, suggests that the cartel expects healthy oil demand growth despite market fears of recession. OPEC made no changes in its growth estimates and sounded an upbeat note about the trend of the global economy for the year. The cartel expects the economy to remain stable in the medium term, although it revised down its estimate of the Eurozone economy. It still sees 3.1% growth in the year and 1.7% increase in the Euro area in 2023. That's contrary to recent forecasts from analysts and economists who expect the Eurozone and several EU member states to be plunged into recession as early as this year due to soaring energy prices weighing on inflation, industries, and consumer sentiments. President Muhammadu Buhari says he's fully committed to deepening Nigeria's quest for full diversification to meet the nation's infrastructure demand. This was contained in his message to the conference of the Chartered Institute of Bankers of Nigeria. The report. The local and global economies have gradually become two sides of a coin, taking distinct position in all transactions. Local practices for global consumption is the focus here, and access to credit remains pivotal. Nigeria has 64 million unbanked adults according to data from the World Bank. This means banking services are far away from a good number of citizens. Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning Zainab Ahmed, standing in the shoes of Mr. President, says government is working to change this narrative.
The menace of terrorism and banditry has been plaguing our country over the years. However, government is committed to securing lives and property within the country and will not relent in ensuring a safe and secure environment for its citizens as well as productive activities to thrive.
Always about taking a slice from a closed oil-driven export pie, but also about helping Nigerians to create opportunity through opening up and supporting markets.
Experts say building the Nigerian economy requires a holistic approach.
To serve as a veritable tool in taking policies or decisions that will help to move the banking industry forward.
Technology and innovation is bringing about a new wave of revolution that will change the landscape of financial services sector.
Changing times, they say, require new ways of thinking, and Nigeria is poised to do just that. And in doing that, the Senate has commenced a 5-day interactive session with relevant stakeholders on the 2023 to 2025 Medium-Term Expenditure Framework (MTEF) and Fiscal Strategy Paper (FSP). Mobolaji Moribiririn has the report.
It's that time of the year when heads of revenue-generating agencies of government interface with the National Assembly to arrive at a suitable parameter for the medium-term expenditure framework, MTEF, and fiscal strategy paper, FSP. The Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning opened the floor with her presentation.
The federal government aggregate expenditure is projected to be 19.76 trillion, and this is inclusive of expenditures of 64 government-owned enterprises that we have been aggregating and bringing into the national budget. In this scenario, the budget deficit is projected to be 11.3 trillion in 2023.
Our projection for 2023, therefore, we are hoping, all things being equal, we are looking towards collection 2.8 trillion. And then in 2024, our projection is 3.5 trillion. Then in 2025, we hope, all things working well, we should be able to collect for government 3.752 trillion.
These projections were made, but not without reservations from the committee, with concerns on oil subsidy, crude oil theft, budget deficit and under-remittance.
We are here talking about the budget, and we are seeing all the deficit that is actually threatening our capacity to even run this government. Honestly, we all have to sit down and have a rethink about this subject.
I want you to look at the issue of trying to manage this oil subsidy.
The assumption is that we will exit the subsidy by June. That's the assumption that we make.
That's the assumption.
But of course, this Parliament can consider different options of doing that.
We should be in a position to amend our tax law and ensure that we harmonize the tax agencies, harmonize the tax system.
The interactive session is preparatory to the nation's 2023 fiscal year. From the National Assembly, Mobolaji Moribiri.
Nigeria is collaborating with Japan and Israel in the area of assembling electric cars, with the companies expected to set up an electric car assembly and manufacturing plant as early as 2023 in the country. Now, a lot of Nigerians are desiring to be car owners and are weighing their options on which will be more accessible to them, more user-friendly, and of course, to give them value for money. That's our focus this afternoon. Mandela Onyemola is the Vice President, Business Compliance and Government Relations at Automotive. He joins me via telephone from Lagos. Mr. Mandela, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone.
Yes, nice to have you on the program.
Thank you so much.
Great. Can we start by you giving us your assessment of Nigeria's automotive industry?
Okay, the Nigerian automotive industry has been going through a phase of evolution, and what we are seeing today is something that is exciting to all the stakeholders that are in that industry, in terms of how we are trying to bridge the gap for the deficit that we have suffered over the years.
Okay.
Yeah.
It is one thing to desire a car and another
Yes.
to own it. So how is access to credit affecting car ownership in Nigeria?
Okay, so in AutoCheck, allow me to quickly speak around what we are doing. So we are an automotive and technology company that we are trying to build technology solutions for the automotive industry. But the goal aim, or the sole aim for us, is to ensure that we are able to democratize access to vehicle financing. And our work for the past 2 years we have been able to, provide vehicle and credit facilities to over 3,000 to 4,000 Nigerians on our platform today that have access credit to us. And with what we are looking at, the other end to it for us is that we are gaining more partners that are coming on board to saying, okay, how are you guys doing this thing? That we onboard them, and we have more people also coming to our website asking us that, okay, they want to access financing. So it has helped us to improve our processes to an extent that you can have access to vehicle financing within 24 hours if you come through AutoCheck. Which we feel that that's the future. That's where we all need to be as Africans.
Okay, it's quite interesting that we're seeing a lot of businesses being shaped by global trends, moving from the physical space to the cyber space. But then, of course, there is always that very concern. What happens when people run away with my money, right?
Yes, exactly. So this is one of the fundamental reasons why we had to set up AutoCheck, to be able to build trust, because one of the stories, a lot of stories that we've been having, if you would recall, or you will know one or two people where they will tell you they sent money to somebody, he did not bring them the car, he did not give them the money. So what we have done in AutoCheck is to aggregate dealers and verify them and train them. So if you see any of our AutoCheck signage, you can walk into those dealerships with the assurance to know that you're dealing with a company. If you go there, you get your financing right there, you pick your car. If you have issues with the car, we can replace the car for you immediately. So you are not, the trust issue has been eliminated on the AutoCheck platform.
Okay, a good number of Nigerians go for used cars, but then the used cars, not because it is what they have pegged their minds on, but basically because they cannot afford new ones. So we've seen a lot of cases of the available becoming the desirable. Can you just quantify the socioeconomic implications of the massive influx and rotation of used cars in the country?
Okay, so like I said earlier, the automobile industry is going through an evolution. So if you look at the Nigerian history, how we started from new cars to how we got back into importing Tokumbo cars, and now we're using most of those cars. We are now going back to a phase where the real model for this is actually through financing. So and the fundamental thing that we need to solve as a people is by also encouraging ourselves to take advantage of this financing infrastructure that is in place, because what it does is that it frees up more capital for you to be able to do some other things. So if you have a 10 million naira, you want to buy a car, you don't have to take that 10 million naira to go and buy a car. You can just put down 3 million naira, which is 30% of that amount, and you have your 7 million to do something else. So that way we can even have more cash free up in the society to do something else. So this is how it is done in other parts of the world, and this is what we are trying to introduce into Africa. So the credit penetration has to happen. Once that happens, you can ride a car of your choice. So today, if you have 10 million naira cash, you can decide to drive a car of 25 million because you can afford the equity payment on it. So that's how the model works.
Okay, I've listened to lots of arguments that say, well, I can actually not take this huge amount of money and deposit for a car and then begin to pay maybe instrumentally, monthly, or annually. Is there any economic sense in that? And perhaps you could also speak to the issue of Nigerian cars made in Nigeria or assembled in Nigeria on our roads. We're not seeing much of them. If there's a good number of them, can this alleviate the issue of an influx of used cars from other climes?
Okay, so yes, that will alleviate the use of influx of used cars. But again, what the Nigerian government is doing now is the right thing, which is by introducing the right policies to take us through this process, because it's not going to happen in one day. So, for example, the VIN valuation system introduced by the government is to also regulate the duty around the type of cars that are coming into the country. So what it means is that you will now, the model, the policy is discouraging aged cars from coming into the country. So we have cleaner cars. Now, the next phase to it now is to build a financing leg on it, which we have done now. Then, for the customer, what is the total cost of value of the vehicle to you as a customer? So today, you say, this car is expensive to me. Are you looking at the cost of maintenance? Are you looking at the cost of replacing parts and all those things? These are things that it's a one-stop shop. If you come to AutoCheck, for example, you get the car through us. We are responsible for maintaining the car throughout the tenure of the loan for you. So the reason why a lot of people are discouraged from taking financing is because even when you use financing today to acquire a vehicle, you are still saddled with the responsibility of the repairs. You are still spending money on it. But on AutoCheck platform, we are saying, no, take your financing. We'll take care of your insurance. We'll take care of the vehicle maintenance for you throughout the tenure of the loan. If you finish the tenure of your loan, you can bring in the car, we'll swap it and give you another one.
I think AutoCheck, we need to pay me for advertising.
Oh, okay, no, I'm just okay. I just needed to explain to you how the model should work normally and how it is working in other countries. So that way, what we worry about is not exactly what we should be worried about.
Oh, okay, great. Perhaps you would speak, because you talked about the government policies. What does the handshake between the policy makers and the auto industry look like? What does it look like? And can Nigeria make a remarkable difference in the auto industry?
Okay, yes. So there's been a whole lot of improvement in terms of the relationship between the government and the automobile industry. In 2019, you could see even our senators proposing electric vehicles coming in. You could also see recent conversations around that and how government has been, they understand the impact of the automobile industry in the economy itself, because what do we define as economy today? Economy is simply the exchange of goods and service. So the faster we can make it happen, the better for every one of us. So it's something that the government has an eye on. So in terms of the ecosystem, the government itself is playing a central role in defining the policies that will guide everyone to operate. So in a matter of time, all these things will come together and we'll see a better result.
Okay, I must sincerely thank you, Mr. Mandela, the freedom fighter, for joining us on the program this morning and fighting for the freedom of Nigerians to own cars.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a nice day.
And you too.
Great. So oil prices stabilized on Wednesday after dropping by more than $1 earlier in the session, following signs of bullish demand in an International Energy Agency report. Brent crude futures rose 8 cents or 0.09% to $93.25 a barrel. U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude was at $88.35 a barrel, up 4 cents or 0.05%. Prices stabilized following some positive elements in an IEA report published on Wednesday. Now let's see the price of oil and other commodities on the global commodities market. It is again another day in the red, as the equities market in Nigeria closed on a negative note. At the end of today's trading session, the NGX all-share index depreciated to 49,576.05 points from 49,627 0.72 points recorded in the previous day. A total of 197.45 million shares valued at 2.94 billion naira were also traded by investors in 3,462 deals with market capitalization, closing out the midweek session at 26.74 trillion naira. Courtville, Zenith Bank, and Guarantee Trust Holding Company were the top trades in the course of the day. And on the global scene, U.S. interest rate hike worries affect shares this Wednesday. Bosti Abel has a summary of market activities.
Hello and welcome to the Global Market Update. The latest inflation data set the tone for global markets this Wednesday as investors reacted to the development. Stock futures in the United States traded higher Wednesday morning after the hot inflation reading sent the major averages tumbling to their worst day since June 2020 and dampened investors' expectations of less hawkish Federal Reserve. Futures tied to the Dow Jones Industrial Average added 0.44%, S&P 500 0.54%, and Nasdaq Composite also appreciated 0.61%. Shares in the Asia Pacific dropped sharply after indices on Wall Street plunged following the higher than expected U.S. Consumer Price Index report. Japan's Nikkei 225 dropped 2.78% at 27,818.62. The Shanghai Composite also dipped 0.80% at 3,237.54, and the Hong Kong Hang Seng Index also dipped 2.48% across 18,848.10. Same applied to the European market as they opened red, as investors also reacted to the latest inflation data out of the US. DAX dipped 0.26%, FTSE 0.68%, and CAC 40 of France also depreciated 0.11%. African markets were also affected by the US latest data release, with most stocks in the red. That's the Global Market Review. I am Bosti Abel.
Still on the global scene, the decision was made in a short conference call with investors from the company's San Francisco headquarters. It means Twitter will now try to force Elon Musk to buy the company in the courts. The meeting followed explosive testimony from Twitter's former head of security, Peter Zatko, in front of the U.S. Senate. In April, Twitter agreed to sell the company to the world's richest person, Elon Musk. However, the deal soared after Mr. Musk alleged he was misled by Twitter about the number of spam and bot accounts on the platform. He said he no longer wished to purchase the company in May, but Twitter argues that Mr. Musk cannot back out of the deal. A very interesting one, I must say there. But then the exchange rate between Naira and the dollar falls to 707 Naira to the dollar at the black market this Wednesday. Let's see the official exchange rate of the Naira. So we're going to wait and see how it pans out between Mr. Musk and the board of Twitter. That wraps Business Express for today. Remember to keep in touch with us, so do send in your comments, observations, and suggestions. Also be informed that all previous episodes are available on YouTube on the NTA's channel. You can also communicate with us via our various social media platforms. The program returns on Thursday. My name is Leah Kating Papatunde. Thanks for watching.